There is an upgrade battle glitch during battle number 3 by abusing the movement glitch. The first thing you have to do is an in-battle save. This is so you can immediately re-trigger the battle after the fight is completed without having to aggress back to town, because it won't work if you aggress. What you do is simply movement glitch Bowie upwards off the map entirely. This will underflow Bowie's battle coordinates from 0 to 255. Once you've done that, you can't let Bowie get another turn after you've entered a battle scene, so you basically need to end the fight immediately. After the battle, you should appear back in the map. If your Bowie is level 4 or above, when you go to re-trigger the battle, the enemies will upgrade, which isn't supposed to happen unless Bowie is at least 10 levels above the current battle number. The basic calculation for determining whether or not enemies should upgrade and what their upgrade multiplier should be is simply Bowie's level minus battle index divided by 10. A return value of 0 will determine that the enemies should not be upgraded. Anything above that will serve as a multiplier to determine how strong the enemies will be. With this glitch, the enemies start upgrading exponentially every level from 4 to 10. I'll explain why this occurs a little later in the video. This glitch can also be done in battle number 6. It's however slightly trickier because you have to make sure Bowie is moved off the actual map, not just where the camera cuts off for the battlefield. So rather than coordinates 255, it needs to be 253 or below. You will then be able to trigger battle 3 from an entirely different trigger zone located here. Coordinates are essentially stored in RAM at 2 different places. You have character data, which is where battle coordinates are stored along with other stuff like your character's name, their stats, kills, defeats, so on. Then there is entity data, which specifically handles the character's sprite, things like their coordinates on the map when you move during exploration, which way you're facing, and etc. Here's the math involved to convert these coordinates back and forth between each other. Let's convert my battle coordinates in battle number 3, which is x11, y255 in hexadecimal to entity coordinates. The x coordinate is simple enough and straightforward, it's just b times 180 equals 1080. The y coordinate on the other hand is a bit more interesting, as it takes ff times 180 and produces a long word instead of a word. So it will then just take the word 7e80, and then it'll divide it by 180 in hexadecimal, which will equal 54 in hex, or in other words, 84 in decimal. So the game assumes your y coordinates to be y84. All maps in the game are 64 by 64 tiles. When your y coordinate exceeds 64, you end up on a glitched copy of the map below the real map. Map warps into town will not work because your coordinates will not match up with the designated warp triggers. However, for some reason, zone triggers like battles will work. The issue here is when you trigger a battle while on the glitched map, there seems to be a miscalculation once it tries to update the player's position from a map event. So I end up triggering the battle at entity position 7b80, which will be held in D2 in long word form, and this instruction will divide it by 180 in hex, which should simply equal 52. Instead, and I can't figure out why this occurs, the result of this calculation is 008, 000, 52. Once it starts going through the update enemy routines, the long word of D2 is never cleared, and this becomes very important, so let's return back to the original equation of how enemies are upgraded and their upgraded multiplier is applied, which is Bowie's level minus battle index divided by 10. Under normal circumstances, let's say Bowie is level 4. It should simply be 4 minus 3 equals 1, and the registered D2 should look like this. And the word-based instruction divu 10d2 would return back a value of 0, meaning the battle shouldn't be upgraded. However, because of that strange miscalculation from being on a glitched map, the D2 register will look like this before the division, and the division instruction is completely ignored because the quotient will be a value that is higher than a word, which invalidates this unsigned division instruction entirely. So now the enemy upgrade multiplier is just based upon the difference of Bowie's level to the battle index, meaning that the multiplier will increase by 1 each level rather than by 1 every 10 levels.